something like this is good to build, not just kind of go one after another, but to kind of weave these together. And I want to weave a couple of thoughts from the prior panel that make some sense. Mahalo for the language lesson. We learned about two words, Ahupua, as well as capacitize. I never had to expand my English language. But the Ahupua lesson was really important. If we say Ahupua, could be a gathering of flowers or gathering of children maybe and so forth. Not a bad concept, but it's different from Ahupua, which was that demarcation of a pig on an altar that really represented wealth and boundary and resource and abundance and so forth. So language matters. And I love your correction, and don't feel offended or tested by that. This is our tradition, and it relates to this conference. If I were making a lei, it's kind of hard to show with this one because it's woven and so forth, but especially those flower leis where you kind of tie them on. The teacher would go like this with the lei after the palm, right? And see if the flowers fall off. That's due diligence. That's rigor. That's wanting to make sure it's hardwired into our culture that you do it right and you do it well, and it's pop, it's firm. So Andy was just trying to make sure we firm on that, and that's the discipline which we need to approach investment. The second thing was, God, that was a great point about Amazon. And and your point here about investing in Maui and so forth, are we investing something to get $10 worth of gain in return that's going to cost us $100 worth of social mitigation? You know, how many of you know what's in your investment portfolio? I don't know what's in my 401k. And for those of you who are in this business, maybe helping your creating funds, and so I know they exist, you know, funds where we really know what's in our, more conscious of what we're investing in, I think would be very helpful to us. So you kind of got name, rank, and serial number in the program, but I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves in a somewhat unique way. You know what they've done in some cases, but I'd like to ask you, what's the best part of your day and why? That'll tell us a little bit about what you do and what makes you tick. Who wants to go first? Brandon, what's the best part of your day, bro?
Hello, my name is Brandon Maka'awa'awa. I'm the Deputy Head of State of the Nation of Hawaii. And we have a land base called Pū'ana, and the best part of my day is because I live outside of the Pū'ana. I live in the United States. I live in DHHL lands. I live in the heart of our community. The best part of my day is when I get to wake up and leave and go to Pū'ana, and I get to be a Hawaiian.
Yeah. Kili, Namau'u, Pūnana, Maui. I'm the director, my name is Kili, Namau'u, and I'm the director of Pūnana, Maui. It's a Hawaiian immersion language preschool. And the best part of my day is getting to hug 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds. And you well. I wish I could do what she just did. I'm Mary Spadaro, and I'm the founder and facilitator for Slow Money Hawaii. This is my retirement job. Many different things in my background, and the best part of my day is going out to my garden in the morning and see what's ready to harvest.
Aloha, my name is Lance Collins. I'm an attorney in private practice, primarily here on the island of Maui, although I do have a couple of cases involving ku'uku right now on Oahu. And I have to say that I think the most favorite thing for me every day is when I wake up. I have 2 dogs who patiently wait until I'm awake and then get wild and hysterical and happy that I'm not dead or they're so happy, but they're very, very happy. And that I think it's the first thing that happens in the morning. They don't wake me up, but as soon as I am up, they're hysterically happy that I'm awake.
testifying before the Water Commission. In my comments at the first panel, I talked about those three things that I thought were real, in my view, were important about Ahupua investing, and that is horizon, scope, and benefit. So I'm going to start with the horizon issue, because when you invest, right? I mean, that's what you want to know. What's your exit? What's the term of this investment, and what do you want to achieve? And so, Kili didn't like the idea last night, but maybe she's warmed up to it this morning. I'm going to start with her, because she looks into the face of that future, of that horizon every morning. And you know their struggles. You know them today, and a lot of these families are struggling to make ends meet and so forth. They would probably like investments that kind of create cash flow for today, but they are also the future. And I think there's a great concern for the future, and it's a cultural program, so they're grounded in their culture. So talk to us a little bit about what you see as their kind of investment horizon, and how we can invest today that really helps them meet their needs today as well as their aspirations for the future.
Okay, that's a lot, but I'm going to just speak to what I know. And what I know is that I've been involved with Hawaiian immersion education for the last 30 years, nearly the last 30 years of Kamai. And I got involved because I was a mother who had a child, and I wanted to see that child flourish in their cultural, in their Hawaiian culture. And the thing is, when I first started this about 30 years ago, no one was at all interested in anything Hawaiian. And so we were the pioneers out there of revitalizing the language. And Pūnana is there to revitalize the Hawaiian language. That is what the mission of this, the schools are. And what it has led to is to bring Hawaiian immersion education into the public schools as well. So now we do have Hawaiian language available from the time of toddlers, infant toddler programs, to the preschools, which is where I'm heavily involved with. I'm still very much involved with K through 12 public school education, sitting on the Board of Education, and as your Maui representative here. And then you can also acquire, obviously, language at the university level. You can get PhDs in Hawaii now. So we're very proud of the fact that after all these years, we're able to revitalize the language. But the other thing that I found that besides the language, in the process of teaching these young children, we give them all their skills. Early education is the hot topic item now out there. It's really important that children get all of their, that we touch these children as many ways that we can to teach them before age 5. So early education is really important. And what I found, though, that being involved with Pūnana is that besides the language, it's so easy for the children to learn. They're pretty fluent after 4 months, actually, understanding what's going on. They're just like little sponges. But it's the opportunity to share our values, our Hawaiian values, and to go back and understanding the culture and understanding the language helps us to understand the culture better, and what our ancestors was able to provide for us. So that has been very special. So for me, this Ahupua is our education system in the immersion program. It's been very important to be able to instill certain values that I think you would see in your traditional Ahupua land division kind of situation. We do that with, and our capital is our children, right? In what we put into our children. We try to create that kahua, that foundation for them. So it's all about those kinds of values, which are Kuleana, having responsibility is really important. To laulima, to cooperate, to have this cooperation, to Namau'u, to take care of the land, to aloha kekahi, kekahi, to love one another. And these are the kinds of things that we share with our children. We create this foundation for them, and with the hope that as they go through life, that they will be able to live these things. And that's what we do, we live them. And it's not just for children, we're a family-based program, so we try to instill these values to young families who probably did not have this kind of upbringing, but to have them realize the opportunities that they can learn along with their child. And so that's the kinds of things that we do in creating this Kuleana, this relationship that we talked about earlier is really important to us. We really take care of one another. And so that's what our program is all about. And I hope that you can find it in your hearts to learn and understand what we do. And hopefully we can share with you the kinds of things that have given us a lot of, pride. We're also doing ha'a, which is humility too. We're so grateful, mahalo, so grateful to all that our ancestors have given us. And we want to share that with you today too. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Kili. So other panelists want to jump on this issue? I've got some other questions. Questions for each of you, as you know, but on this issue of investment horizon and how we invest today to not only meet our current needs, to generate a return for us today, but really invest in the future. On this subject, would you, other thoughts? Hearing none, we'll go to the second question. We'll all jump in at the end and pull it all together. So to Lance, my reference to scope really kind of creates that sense of distinction between kind of being transactional in your view, and this is good for me, versus systemic in your view, and what is done here really helps the whole system prosper, whether it's a geographical system or a social system. So I'm sure in your work as an attorney, in land use development in particular, but maybe in some other ways as well, you see some good examples and some horror stories. And I thought maybe you'd share a little bit about both.
Sure. But I want to start by saying that in most of the work that I do, it almost all can be understood and is understood through the lens of the Ahupua governance system. But in many places, we don't have fully functioning Ahupua. Instead, what we have the Hawaiians of the land, the descendants, the heirs, and they have what is called a kipuka. And a kipuka is, in the stories, for example, when Pele creates land, one of the things that happens is basically a forest is destroyed because you have no land. But within that process, there are these areas, these kipuka, that basically hold the seeds, the history for the next cycle of the land. And so most, but not all, of the types of cases that I take, what I see is that there is this interaction between the Hawaiians and kipuka, whether it's actual plants, and I actually wore this today. I know Kehao mentioned Honua'ula, and I wore this today because actually in a number of cases involving lands in Honua'ula, Honua'ula has a vast willy-willy forest, native willy-willy forest. But if you leave it to what some consultants have said, it was a willy-willy forest. And then especially after the doll wasp thing happened, suddenly it was like, oh, there's no willy-willy forest. But actually, if you walk the land in Honua'ula, it's a giant willy-willy forest. And there's a wiki-wiki, there's Maka'awa'awa, which is an endangered plant, there's nehe, there's all sorts of things that are told are not there. But the Hawaiians of that place have really tried to make sure that those kipuka of that area can be used to be furthered. And so in my experiences in many of my cases, what happens is that folks come in from the outside, or they don't even come in, they do it remotely, and they don't take into account these kipuka. And so I should say that I mentioned Pele, but actually the kipuka that I'm talking about, maybe some of it has to do with something that Pele did, but actually the more recent destruction has been starting in the 1860s and the 1870s when American capital flooded in and completely changed how water and people and everything related to the land. So that's actually the destruction. I referenced Pele and I skipped over the 19th century. But Pele created kipuka, but the kipuka I'm talking about are what's left after that more recent destruction. And that's looking at it negatively. I guess there's a way of looking at it as through the metaphor of Pele, that there's basically this new thing that has to come about, and that's what the native tenants of these places are doing with these kipuka. And so I think when it works is when folks who have money and want to invest are able to work with that, as opposed to being part of this previous model, which is sort of trying to completely cover the land and destroy everything that's in it. And so I think that some of the wealth that can come into conversation with the wealth that's here will be found in kipuka, whether it's physically, botanically, or whether it's through place names or through people's genealogy to the land or to the history. And kipuka is a metaphor for this whole wealth, and to make a connection and a relationship with that. And that's, in those instances, that is, I have seen the most success is when there is that relating to this wealth of traditional knowledge and understanding.
Anybody else want to jump in on that issue of the scope and these kipuka, or Brandon?
I think, when we're talking about Ahupua, like how Lance is talking about these kipukas and what has happened when the overthrow happened and the injustice occurred to our people, we got all split up. And in Ahupua, what the Ahupua mainly is it's not just a physical thing, it's a relationship. There was a relationship between Kanaka and Aina, but then also there was a relationship between Kanaka and Kanaka. And that's what we lost when the injustice happened to us, and that's what we need to regain, because we have these wealths of knowledge, these kipukas that are out there, and we cannot reach each other because we over here protecting our kipuka. Uncle Walterdem is over there protecting their kipuka. Napuadem is over there protecting their kipuka. But what we need now is we need to be empowered by people that want to come to Hawaii and begin empowering us in these ESG models, because we are the ESG. It's not the guys that came here and devastated everything. That model of business is running in shit. There is nothing there left. You only have us, we emerging, we coming out from the lava. We the seeds underneath that. And that is what we need to get back to. We need to build these relationships again. People always talk about unity. How come Hawaiians can't get together and all that? How are we gonna get together? We don't have money. I would love to get together with everybody, but we cannot. We have resources enough just to survive. If we couldn't do that, then there wouldn't be no kipukas. That's why we have to, kind of like toughen up, and that's why we build walls. That's why we have a big gate in the front of our village when you come there, because we need to protect that. But with the proper investments, with the proper empowerment from people that are sitting in this room, we can rebuild our Ahupua again.
I'll go back to you in a minute, but I appreciate your reference to the shirt. Was it Kelpiko?
Yes.
Kelpiko, and I'm wearing Kelpiko. You have Manuheli, we got Six Zane over there. I'm sure others. Waldo has a Molokai t-shirt on. But there's a time in Hawaii where most of our aloha apparel was really shipped offshore. And it was produced somewhere else with really kind of just generic content in terms of the design features. And part of seizing the moment and really creating an economy and an economic opportunity around our culture. With people like Kealapiko who took the shirt and said, our shirt needs to tell our story. You know, our apparel, your mu'u, and so forth. And they seized it, and it needs to be done so in a way that doesn't pollute the earth. So whereas the garment apparel industry is like the second greatest polluter of the earth because of all the toxic chemicals, they don't use toxic chemicals. And it needs to be prudent in terms of using every stitch. So you want to buy a quilt, or you want to buy a little thing for a baby, or a little purse or something like that. Every piece of material is used, and the jobs are on Hoʻokele. That's Ahupua investment. That's looking at our culture and finding the strength in it, and really making more beautiful clothes than we ever saw before. You know, and owning it. So now, Brandon, and it's sharing the wealth. It's not having the wealth go to some corporate and who really pays the least amount they can for their labor and so forth, but really creating our jobs. Now, in some ways, when we think about benefit and sharing wealth and so forth, I look at the nation of Hawaii, what you've done in Waimanalo, it was really built around that idea that we need a better model for sharing wealth and not concentrating it. And at the exploitation of some other people who tended to be us. So, you know, tell your story a little bit and talk about how you make that work.
Yeah, so Pū'ano Waimanalo started actually as a land occupation down at Kaupo Beach, led by my uncle Bumpy Kanahele back in 1993, and it was organized around protecting Hawaiian rights and protecting, you know, our aina, and giving a place for our houseless at the time, because they were all houseless. Everybody in our Pū'ano was once houseless, giving them a community. And no matter where it was, because wherever we went, that was our aina, you know. And so they were there before the apology bill happened. And then after the apology bill happened, my uncle educated everybody down there, and that was what he was trying to get to when he was talking about our identity. Until we find our identity as Hawaiians, we really have that missing connection to the aina. What makes you belong to this aina? Why can you be here to take on a kuleana? And so after 15 months, we came to an agreement with the state, and we founded Pū'ano Waimanalo up in the back roads of Waimanalo. We sit on 45 acres where we run and manage. We create businesses out of there. We create community out of there. We create relationships out of there that we have a hard time doing outside of those gates. I know, I live outside of the gates. But when I come to those gates and when we come inside there, the whole world opens for us. We open to all kinds of different things. We open to inventors coming in, bringing their technology to us, seeing how we can go out there and champion some of these things. Different models of planting, different ways to clean the environment. They get blocked through the state. There's bureaucracies in place from big businesses that have been here prospering off of our demise. Inside this kipuka, we develop techniques and strategies and innovation that can actually look to a better future for our people, because we're drawing on the ike, the knowledge of our kupuna. We're not taking, you know, outsiders' suggestions. We have the solution right here, and it's with us. We've sustained these islands for thousands of years. When Malcolm talks about the first whereas clause, where we lived in a highly organized, self-sustaining, subsistent social system based on communal land tenure, that means we had them already. It was there, and it's still there. We're on the aina. Not just us, but everybody, all Hawaiians. We're still on the aina. We're just trying to rebuild and reconcile. And at the same time, we're trying to reconcile with the government. And that can get foggy, right? So what we're doing now in our kipuka is trying to rebuild those solutions. And once we get it into, you know, where we have enough resources to go outside of our kipuka, we're going to take it to our communities. And it's not just going to stay within our boundaries. We're going to take it outwards, because that's the only way we can truly restore. We cannot depend on the government to do the restoration for us. We have to be the ones to carry that mission out, and that's what we're trying to do in our nation in Ahupua.
You know, there's going to be more discussion of how right these investment opportunities are, and we understand that as investors, you want them ready for you. But there's some that are ready, and there's some people who are investing, and Mary's one of them with her slow money. And you want to talk about how you source deals and where you found people in Maui in particular, since we have a heavy Maui audience, but statewide, if you wish. Examples of the kinds of investments you make.
Thank you, Neil. I'll tell you a little bit about what slow money is first. Many of you probably have heard of slow food, which was a movement started by Chef Carlos Petrini when McDonald's came to Italy, and they said, oh my God, they're going to ruin our food culture. So they started making food just from local sources, from scratch, eating in congeniality with family and friends, and doing it slowly. So slow money is a parallel track to support that kind of approach to food. And we work our tagline on the website is investing in Aina to ensure good food for Hawaii. And also to invest as if fertility, food, and farms matter. I think slow money plays very nicely into the cycling that we've heard everybody talking about today, and the cycle that goes on in the Ahupua. It's an opportunity for individuals in the community to invest in their local food system and their farm and their farmers. Ahupua today in modern times has to have kala, money, and you can use your kala to support your local farmers. A lot of our farmers come out of the farmer training programs, Go Farm, and some go through trainings at the Kohala Center on the Big Island. And so when they start, they've got experience, but limited experience, and they don't have a lot of resources. They have perhaps incubator land that they're working on. And so capital is not going to come their way from the traditional sources. They don't have the track record, they don't have the collateral, their business plan probably is not very sophisticated. And this is where community members step in. This is their food that's being produced. And they have an opportunity after most have already committed to voting with their dollars, to shopping at the farmer's market, buying local. Well, here's an opportunity then for them also to put their kala into that local farmer who's going to provide for their future. It's the power of one. The basic mechanics of slow money are peer-to-peer lending. It's the way I've styled it here in Hawaii is through promissory notes, where a loan that may be, let's just say $20,000, no one comes forward with a $20,000 loan, but maybe 10 people come forward with a $2,000 loan, or somebody comes forward with 5, and the others are maybe smaller. And it's a short-term loan between 2 and 5 years, and it's a low interest rate. All the terms are negotiable between the borrower and the lender, because slow money is only a facilitator here. We make the introductions. It's designed to be about personal relationships. It's a very different kind of investment. When you start talking with the usual financial terms of risk and return and so forth, it's not a good fit. The payback rate has been 100% so far. Nobody's been even late on a payment. 3 of our borrowers are fully paid back. And I think the reason for that is because borrowers and lenders need to meet up front and do their due diligence through questions and answers and looking at the farm and sampling the product. And then you're probably going to run into that person in the grocery store. So who wants to go to the grocery store and see somebody that you are late on a payment to, you know? So it's a good self-regulating system. We also work as Slow Money is a trustee on a crowdfunding platform that some of you may be familiar with called Kiva. It's kiva.org. And that has a minimum entry level for lenders of just $25. So to be a slow money lender, you can come in $2,000 for a person-to-person loan or $25 on a Kiva loan. To date, we have transacted over $200,000 in loans. About half of them were through Kiva and the other half person-to-person. And we've done one of the nicest loans I think that we've done was right here on Maui, the Maui Breadfruit Company, John Cadman, 3 years ago. He just recently paid his loan off in full, and he's the first successful commercial user of breadfruit, the first breadfruit business commercial that's still a business. And he's done hummus and pono pies. I suppose many of you have tried pono pies. If you're here visiting, I strongly suggest you go out and find a pono pie. There's a leader in the front row here. And now he's also processing breadfruit to sell to restaurants, for farm-to-table restaurants. His loan was just for $10,000 so that he could have bulk printed labels for his product instead of printing in small batches. It cut his label costs down by 75%, and it gave him better cash flow and streamlined production activities. So it helped him grow much more rapidly than he would have without that loan. Today, not only is his loan paid back, but he's grown in those 3 years from buying about 5,000 pounds of breadfruit a year to now buying 10,000 pounds of breadfruit a year, and he's not done growing. He has a very small kitchen that he rents, and in this tiny kitchen, he's also got 3 or 4 other producers that are producing food products from Maui ingredients. One's doing fermentations, another one's doing juice, another one's doing hummus and other desserts. John's generating about $250,000 in the last year into the local economy. And his goal 3 years from now is to have about a 10,000 square foot kitchen on land that he hopes to buy and build this kitchen and increase his incubator space so that he can have at least 8 kitchen units, which is probably twice as many businesses, perhaps 16 if they can have 2 businesses per kitchen unit. So, and he employs about 4 people, one of whom is his son, who didn't have any other particular career path and grew up on Maui, and he'll be able to stay. Another Maui project that we're involved in is Kuleana Farms. John Doberman is in the room today. He's producing trout and watercress. He's got a unique watercress product. Watercress is considered a superfood these days. And he powders it and makes it shelf stable for a longer period of time. He smokes his trout. He's got restaurants in his customer base already. And he's looking to scale up. And like many or most, if not all startups, operating capital is an issue. And about 1/3 of his operating costs every month are just electricity alone. I'm wondering why we don't have ag rates for electricity like we do with water.
Yeah.
And John's business is really interesting because he's modeling it to become a franchise model where it could be a series of family farms doing the same thing that he's doing. We also did a loan for Hawaii Ulu Producers Co-op on the Big Island. They're taking breadfruit to the next level, making it an industry with the possibility of exporting it. They're introducing it to many resorts and restaurants, and into the school system. They started out with a slow money loan of $30,000 that they used to buy a couple of freezers, and then another bridge loan so they could build inventory while they were waiting for their DOE contracts to come through. So Ludovico chicken on Oahu, the only pasture-raised chicken that's available, they got a small loan from us to expand their slaughterhouse capacity. On Kauai, we helped a taro farmer and a kava farmer, and we're right now raising money for a 30-acre ranch that's been out of service since Hurricane Iniki. My goal for Slow Money in Hawaii is for each island, for each Ahupua, to have their own slow money network where lenders get together and work directly with farmers in their community. They decide how they want to do their lending. That's a ways off, but we do have lenders and borrowers on each island now, except for Molokai and Lanai. And also the next step, I think, for Slow Money is to blend individual capital and philanthropy. There's an organization called Impact Assets where people who establish donor-advised funds, and I don't know if anyone else will talk about this today, but I think it's so important I want to mention it. Those who are philanthropists can establish a donor-advised fund in one of two organizations that I know. One of them is Impact Assets. And after you donate those funds and take your tax deduction, you can then do custom investments, and those can be local investments in your community. So the risk, there's no risk to you anymore because you donated the money. If the investment makes a home run, it goes back into the donor advised fund, and it has a multiplier effect on your money. You can relend it, or you can give it out as grants. If it loses, you at least have the satisfaction of knowing that you may have moved the needle a little bit on something. So you are what you eat. Put your kala where your cocoa is. And as the lady who's running for county council said, you can do it too.
Okay, so especially for those of you from visiting here for a short time, go to a store and breadfruit, we call it ulu. Find some ulu chips or find some other ulu. It's amazing. Yeah, it's going to change be life-changing for you, for how you eat it. Watercress, of course you know watercress, but try salt-wheat watercress with a bowl of poi. Oh boy, you'll love Hawaii more. I'm getting hungry, I guess. It's getting thank you, Mary. That was awesome. We're also, again, we're not quite sure what the other panelists are going to talk about, but there's a big movement that we're involved with Hawaii Investment Ready called Leveraging Hawaii Capital, which, right now our capital deployment kind of happens in barbells of grants and equity investment. And there's a whole field in between mission-related investment, public PRIs, as well as loan guarantees and so forth. We need to kind of use the whole field and not just kind of the traditions of just equity, pure commercial equity and grants. And there's a number of us who are trying to build that out and socialize that concept. And Mary, you're way out ahead on that and vanguards of that. So mahalo for that. It's been we got just a couple minutes left. It's been I hope you see the elegant design that Shay and put into this panel. So you've got, as we revive our culture, we create and identify these key puka that are out there where we can kind of settle in and beyond the land, like in Waimanalo. We start to become a society where you're going to solve problems. You have needs and opportunities, just like any society. And as these ideas kind of evolve and develop, they become investable. And we need the courage of investors who want to take that chance of really a future that's different from the one we're headed toward now. And why is that such a big risk? You know, I think if you look around society, you look at the increasing homelessness issues, you look at the inequity in our society, you look at so many the environmental issues that confront us, the issues of food security and so forth. There's every reason to start meeting our needs. And the will is here, the capacity is here, and we need to create the opportunities for investors to come in, more opportunities for investors to come in to really help us realize those. Let's have a nice round of applause.